I'm Josh Gapp. I'm an East Tennessee physician who's running in the Republican primary in the 1st District of Tennessee. I'm a third-generation American. My dad's father was a grocer up in Rolla, North Dakota. My parents were the first people in their families who received a college education. So I was born when my parents were finishing college. I grew up the first part of my life in a trailer park. I remember eating hot dogs and tater tots for 2 out of 3 meals a day because that's what we could afford at the time. And my parents, while we were poor at the time, they firmly believed in the American dream, and they taught us. I'm the oldest of 7. They taught me and my siblings that, with hard work and perseverance, that in this country, in this beautiful country of ours, that anybody can achieve anything that they want. And I've spent my life pursuing that dream, that American dream. You asked me about Reagan. So some of the things that I remember about Reagan, I remember Challenger. I remember when Challenger blew up. I was a little kid. I was in the classroom. We were all watching. I think all the kids around the country were watching it because one of the astronauts was a teacher. And I remember when it blew up, it was the world stood still. And it was pretty traumatic. And I also remember President Reagan that night getting on TV and talking to the country and addressing the country. And I don't remember all the words that he said, but I do remember that he said that the astronauts have slipped the surly bonds and touched the face of God. And I don't know why, but it brought comfort even to an elementary school kid at the time. Between that type of leadership that Reagan showed at that time, defeating communism, clearly defeating communism, and winning the Cold War and restoring our economy, Reagan was my hero. He still is. So let's start with Angie. She's the love of my life. I met my wife, Angie, on graduation night from high school. So family to me, man, I was blessed. I'm the oldest of 7, and I can't imagine growing up in a household where things are quiet. Me and my siblings, there's 5 boys and 2 girls. We were a team no matter where we went. And I've been fortunate myself to have 4 healthy children of my own. Parenting it's the reason why I live. So the American dream and entrepreneurism to me are tied very closely together. I grew up with no limitations. That was how I saw the world. That's still how I see the world today. I was born an entrepreneur. When I was a teenager, when I was still in high school, I took out my first business loan. I hired my first employee when I was 21, and I've been blessed. My wife and I, we've had multiple successful businesses over the years, and so I've employed hundreds of people over that time. Truthfully, I think I became a Republican when Ronald Reagan was speaking in the 1976 convention, and I was still in my mother's womb listening to it. I came out a Republican. I don't remember ever being anything else. It's been a part of who I am my entire life. The conservative ideals, the Republicanism, the self-reliance, and the accountability, the self-accountability, these are values that have resonated with me ever since I can remember having values. And they've never wavered. At some point in my early childhood, elementary school, my parents found a church that spoke to them, that we became a part of, and it's what I considered to be my church growing up. And it was during that time that I myself came to faith and came to Christianity. And when I was I don't remember if it was 6th or 7th grade, but I decided to become baptized. My faith is so important to me that in college, my bachelor's degree is actually in philosophy and religion. I love Donald Trump. I genuinely love Donald Trump. There are many aspects about him that I really, truly appreciate. First of all, the fact that he gets up every day and has a smile on his face when he's just beaten down so much by the world. Donald Trump stands by his convictions. He has a very clear notion of right and wrong, and he has a very clear notion of what he thinks the country needs to do. And he doesn't waver. He doesn't back down because some group calls him a bad name or yells at him or, tries to deride him. He presses on and he does what he thinks is right. From a policy standpoint, he's been a wonderful policy president. He's the state of our economy pre-COVID, it was busting at the seams. It's the best economy I've seen in my lifetime. And it's a direct result of his policies. The other thing that I'm really thankful for Donald Trump for is he's taken on China in a way that no other president prior to him has dared to do. Beginning in the early 90s, China became a threat to the country, and it was obvious to me back then that they were a threat. I remember I had an economics class in college, and my economics professor way back then was warning about China. He was telling us how they manipulate their currency and how they're copying everything that we do, and we need to watch out for them. If my economics professor knew this back in the 90s, I don't know how all these government leaders and supposed experts didn't know it. I'm sure they did. They just didn't do anything about it. President Trump's the first president that we've had that's had the backbone to actually stand up to China, which we need now more than ever. So one of the things that I love about Donald Trump is he can't be bought. And like Donald Trump, I can't be bought. I haven't taken one penny of special interest money, lobbyist money, super PAC money, PAC money, DC money. I can vote my conscience. I don't owe anybody for this. I'm only beholden to my conscience, God, and you. Also, like President Trump, I'm not afraid to tell the truth and stand up to political correctness. The reason I'm running for Congress, my wife and I have been very blessed. We started off with very little, and the beauty of this country and the American dream has been very good to us. But I look at the future and I look at my children and someday my grandchildren, and I'm sincerely afraid that future will not afford them the same opportunities that Angie and I have had. Our country's being torn apart right now. It's being rewritten. Our history's being rewritten. The very ideals of our country are being morphed into something that they never were. And if we don't stand up now, it's going to be taken from us. So I love East Tennessee. I genuinely love East Tennessee. We first moved to Tennessee about a decade ago. The community's been very welcoming and very open to us coming here. I mean, we've lived here for so long now that I don't remember the transition. The community here is full of strong character, intelligent, hardworking people, self-reliant people who you can count on. And there's no other place in the world that I'd rather live. And that doesn't account for the beauty of the place. I mean, all you have to do is look out your window. It's the most gorgeous territory in the United States. So as an entrepreneur and as a physician and as a healer, here in East Tennessee, I've opened multiple practices and have been fortunate to have treated tens of thousands of patients, over 45,000 patients for the better part of a decade, going on a decade now. And in that time, I've also invested into the community, into building businesses in these practices, and creating countless jobs at the same time. Political correctness is tearing our country apart. I'm so worried about the future of our country that I can't stand and watch it happen anymore. It's what has gotten me from stepping out from behind the microscope and throwing my hat in the ring and running for Congress. I as an employer, as a physician, as an entrepreneur, I've done everything that I know how to improve my community and be a good member of the community. The only thing that I know how to do is to bring it to the next level and run for Congress and try to make a real difference and stand up to these political correct cowards that are trying to destroy our country. I'm the most qualified person running for Congress here in the 1st District because I'm a true outsider. I'm not bought and paid for. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a job creator. I'm a healer. I'm a father. I'm a Christian. I'm a husband. I'm a normal person. I'm a regular person. I'm not a career politician. And I'm not beholden to anybody other than God and the voters of East Tennessee. And I will represent our shared values with a backbone and strength that has been sorely missed up in Washington. To the undecided voter, the first thing that I would say is get out and vote. This is the most important election of our lifetime. The two parties have two completely different visions of the future, and now more than ever, the future of our country is at stake. I humbly ask for your vote on August 6th because I'm an outsider. I'm a doctor, I'm a job creator, and I'm not a politician. I will stand with President Trump to fight the cancer of political correctness and prevent it from tearing our country apart. And I'm the only major candidate who hasn't taken a single penny from any special interest groups, lobbyists, PACs, any of the DC swampy crowd. Not one penny.